Our first terrifying true story happened pretty recently, and it's one of those cases that doesn't feel distant or abstract. It feels close. I'm from Illinois, and this happened just a few miles away from where I live. It's a precautionary tale about how easy it is to trust strangers, especially when everything looks normal, and why sometimes that trust can lead somewhere you never saw coming. This one starts like 100 other stories, and that's what makes it even painful. It happened in Downers Grove, Illinois. A woman named Eliza Morales was pregnant, about 30 years old. She was trying to sell a truck, so she listed it on Facebook Marketplace. Normal photos, normal description, back and forth messages that didn't raise any red flags. She wasn't meeting a stranger in a dark parking lot. She wasn't doing anything risky on purpose. She was trying to sell a vehicle. A man reached out and said he was interested. He then arranged to come by to take a look. According to investigators, everything about the conversation looked routine, polite, straightforward. No warning signs like the usual. The man showed up when he said he would. He looked at the truck, asked questions, talked numbers. From the outside, it looked like a normal transaction playing out the way it does thousands of times a day. But at some point, something shifted. Authorities later said the suspect became angry about the condition of the vehicle. What was said in that moment isn't fully clear. What is clear is that the situation escalated quickly. Eliza was attacked inside her own apartment. By the time police arrived, the situation had gone far beyond a dispute over a vehicle. Eliza and her unborn child did not survive. They were stabbed to death. Investigators later uncovered surveillance footage and digital records that helped piece together the timeline. According to court documents, after the attack, the suspect set fire to the apartment and assaulted the family dog before fleeing the scene. Thankfully, they were able to apprehend the guy who did it. The suspect was later charged with first-degree murder, robbery, homicide of an unborn child, arson, and animal cruelty. And when the details came out, people kept asking the same question. How does something this violent come from something this normal? No fake profile that stood out. No obvious setup. No moment where someone thought, this feels messed up, I should stop. It started as a marketplace listing. It ended as a crime scene. Afterward, police departments across the country used this case as a warning. They urged people to meet buyers at police stations, public places, anywhere but home. Because cases like this don't feel like horror stories until it's already too late. And once you realize that, yeah, it's hard to look at those listings the same way again. Let me ask you this question for you out there listening or watching. Have you ever done transaction using Facebook Marketplace? I mean, they're like the new Craigslist now. So many questionable people out there. Just do yourself a favor when you do something like this. Please, 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 I beg you. Just meet in public, like literally, police station or Dunkin' Donuts or someplace crowded. Be very careful who you trust. You don't know what crazy people are capable of doing. And so that's our first truly terrifying story for today. I've got a few more lined up, so stick around. Anyway, this drawing I'm working on right now is actually from one of our listeners who reached out a few days ago. He sent me his photo and said he's a big fan of zombie movies. So shout out to Diego Manahan, and I hope I'm saying that right. And for everyone else listening, if you want to be featured next, feel free to reach out. I don't bite. It's free, I'm not charging for this. Not yet, at least. I mean, maybe if I hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll talk. I don't know. Anywho, let's move on to the next story, shall we? So our next terrifying case of Facebook Marketplace gone wrong was first reported in San Jose, California, back in late 2022. Police never released the woman's name, but for the sake of the story, let's just call her Lisa. Lisa had listed a piece of furniture on Facebook Marketplace. Nothing special, just something heavy she wanted gone. The kind of listing you post and forget about 5 minutes later. A buyer messaged her, polite, normal, no weird energy. They agreed on a price, set a pickup time, and that was it. No back and forth, no pressure. He showed up exactly when he said he would. He smiled, complimented the furniture, helped carry it outside, handed her the cash. The whole thing took maybe 10 minutes. When he drove away, there was nothing about it that stuck with her. At least, not right away. 3 days later, Lisa's phone buzzed with a motion alert from the security camera. She checked it without much thought, expecting to see someone walking past or a car pulling into a driveway. Instead, there was a car parked across the street. It wasn't doing anything obvious. It wasn't blocking traffic or drawing attention. It was just there, facing the house. She told herself she was overthinking it. The next morning, the car was gone. That should have been the end of it, but later that evening, it came back. Same model, same color, parked almost exactly where it had been before. That's when she began to worry. Lisa opened the marketplace messages and scrolled back through them, replaying the meetup in her head. The way the buyer spoke. Over the next few days, the car kept showing up. Not always at the same time. Sometimes late at night, sometimes early in the morning. Sometimes it stayed only a few minutes. Other times it didn't move for hours. Always across the street, always facing her house. About a week after the sale, she woke up to a knock at the door. Not loud, not frantic, just steady. Like whoever was knocking wasn't in any rush. She stayed in bed, heart racing, and pulled up the live feed from her front door camera on her phone. The porch looked empty, but that didn't make her feel better. When she finally opened the door, there was no one there. Later that day, she went back through the footage more carefully, slowed it down, watched it frame by frame. And that's when she noticed something she hadn't seen before. Someone had been standing just outside the camera's view, close enough to hear movement inside the house, careful enough not to step forward. That's when she called the police. They took a report, ran the license plate from the footage, and confirmed what she already suspected. The car belonged to the same man who had picked up the furniture, the same buyer from the marketplace listing. A restraining order was issued. For a while, things went quiet. The car stopped appearing. The street looked normal again. And for a moment, she thought it might actually be over. Weeks later, one evening, she was unlocking her front door when she sensed movement behind her. Footsteps. Too close to ignore. She turned just as someone grabbed her arm. She screamed. The grip tightened, pulling her off balance. She fell hard, pain shooting through her shoulder and down her arm. Then headlights swept across the driveway. The grip loosened. Footsteps ran. By the time neighbors came outside, whoever had been there was gone. She survived. Thank God she did. Lisa's injuries healed, but the feeling of safety didn't come back with them. Police believe the attacker was the same buyer from the marketplace sale, but he was never caught that night. She didn't stay long after that. She moved, changed her number, took down every listing, stopped meeting strangers altogether. Because nothing had gone wrong during the meetup. Nothing had warned her in advance. The danger didn't show itself when it was supposed to. It waited. And even though she survived, the lesson stayed with her. Lesson for us all. You really have to be careful who you give your physical address to. I catch myself thinking about it even with stuff I sell online, like eBay, for example. Your return address is right there. Anyone can see it. And I mean, most people are fine. But all it takes is one person who isn't. And there are a lot of people out there you don't know anything about. It's a messed up world sometimes. So yeah, protect yourselves however you can. Even something simple helps. Cameras are cheaper now than they've ever been. Put one by the door. Keep an eye on things. Do whatever gives you a little peace of mind. That's really all I'm saying. Before we go any further with this next story, I need to say it plainly. This is a real case, and it's heavy. If you find my stories so far unsettling, I honestly don't feel bad if you just want to mute me and watch me draw or just listen to music or something. Again, fair warning. This happened in Chicago, Illinois in 2019. Her name was Marlene Ochoa Lopez. She was 9 months pregnant, and like a lot of expecting parents, she was doing what people do near the end, trying to get everything ready. Clothes, diapers, the small things that suddenly feel very important when you know the baby could arrive any day. Money was tight, so she went on Facebook. She found a post offering free baby clothes. That alone doesn't sound strange. It actually sounds kind. The woman who posted it said she had extras. She said she wanted to help another mom out. The messages felt supportive, reassuring, almost nurturing. They talked for a while. Nothing rushed, nothing pushy, no weird questions. If anything, the conversation made Marlene feel more comfortable, like she was talking to someone who understood what she was going through. Eventually, the woman gave her an address and suggested she come by to pick up the clothes. And this is where, everything hinges on one decision. Marlene went alone. She told people where she was going. She wasn't hiding anything. In her mind, she was doing something normal, meeting another woman, another mom, to pick up baby clothes. When she arrived, the house didn't look abandoned. It didn't look dangerous. It looked ordinary. She went inside. What Marlene later found out was that the Facebook post wasn't about baby clothes at all. The kindness wasn't real. It was rehearsed. The messages had a purpose, and that purpose had nothing to do with helping someone. The plan had already been made. Inside the house, Marlene was attacked. Emergency responders were eventually called, but by the time they arrived, it was too late for her. Her baby was delivered afterward, but he didn't survive long. And I'm going to pause here for a second, because this next part is what really changes how people understand this case. Police didn't uncover a crime of opportunity. They uncovered preparation. The woman responsible was arrested and later convicted. When the story broke, people across the country were shocked to learn of how it happened. Like, how could a human being can do this to another human being, let alone an expecting mother? There were no threats in the messages, no warning signs, nothing that told Marlene she was walking into danger. It wasn't fear that brought Marlene there. It was trust. Trust in another person. Trust in a platform people use every day. Trust in the idea that someone offering baby clothes to a pregnant woman couldn't possibly mean harm. And that's what makes this case freaking messy and heartbreaking, because it forces you to realize something uncomfortable. Sometimes the most terrifying encounters don't come with red flags. They don't come with raised voices or aggressive messages. Sometimes they come wrapped in kindness, in reassurance, in words like, "I just want to help." And once you understand that, yeah, it changes the way you look at a simple Facebook message forever. All right, you guys still with me? I hope I'm not sketching alone over here, because our next story leans in more on the supernatural side, and that usually gives me the scares. Not because anything violent happens, but because nothing ever gets explained. It starts like a normal Facebook Marketplace listing. An old desk, a few scratches, short description. The price is reasonable, maybe a little low, but not enough to feel suspicious. The seller's profile looks solid. Years old, family photos, comments from people wishing them happy birthday, all that usual stuff. A buyer messages. They go back and forth a little, short replies, polite, slightly stiff, but honestly, that's pretty normal online. They agree on a pickup time and an address. Day of the meetup comes. The buyer drives over. Quiet neighborhood, middle of the afternoon. The house matches the address exactly. Porch light off, curtains drawn, nothing out of place. Someone answers the door. The seller is older, soft-spoken, calm. They don't invite the buyer inside, just bring the desk out to the garage. The exchange is quick. Cash changes hands. A short thank you. The door closes. Later that night, the buyer opens Facebook to send a quick message. Just a thanks again. The chat doesn't load. The seller's profile is gone. Not blocked, not restricted. Just gone. At first, they brush it off. It could be Facebook glitches. People deactivate accounts all the time. No big deal. But the next day, curiosity gets the better of them. They look up the address. And that's when the timeline stops making sense. Public records show the homeowner passed away months earlier. Natural causes. There's an obituary, condolences, photos from the service, neighbors commenting about how quiet the house has been since. The person who owned that house shouldn't have been able to sell anything. Thinking there has to be a normal explanation, the buyer reaches out to a neighbor listed in the comments. The neighbor confirms it. The house has been empty since the death. No one living there. No caretaker. No family staying long term. And that's when the question starts to form. Who answered the door? The buyer checks their phone again. The marketplace messages are still there, but frozen. No updates, no scene indicator. Just a conversation that seems stuck at the moment of the meetup. A few days later, the entire chat disappears. No warning, no trace. And here's the part that makes this story spooky. Other people online have shared stories like this. Different items, different states, same pattern. Sellers who vanish right after the sale. Profiles that look real until they suddenly don't. Addresses tied to people who, according to records, were already gone. Some say it's identity theft. Others say it's relatives quietly selling things. Some blame glitches or outdated records. And maybe that's all it is. But the thing that keeps bothering me as I learn more about stories like this, it's the interaction. The fact that someone stood in that doorway, spoke calmly, took money, closed the door. And according to everything that exists on paper, that person shouldn't have been there at all. And I don't know what the explanation is. But when the digital trail disappears and the real world contradicts what you experienced, it leaves this uncomfortable space where certainty should be. And once you feel that, it's hard to shake the thought that maybe you didn't meet a scammer. Maybe you met someone who hadn't quite left yet. Well, this drawing is about done, and I'm about done for today too. What do you guys think? Yay? Nay? It's your turn to send me your photos. I'm waiting. Let's do this. Message me. My contact is in the description below. Can't promise to be able to draw all requests, but I'll do my best as I have a ton more creepy stories to tell you. If you enjoy true scary stories while watching someone draw a zombie head, well then, I have another video about haunted places that I highly recommend you watch. right down there where I'm pointing. To the left. Yep, that one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you there.